34 minutes. Possibly the longest in all M2. I'm not sure what the stats look like. And another 10-minute stomp by RRQ. Now, I'm wondering what it might look like. But for now, go ahead and review the brackets. What went down? Gideon, are these what you expected?
Honestly, this is a little bit of a shocker, especially with just the power level of the Burmese ghouls here. And they are just absolutely just crushing it right now. But here is their biggest. This is the benchmark here against the first runner-ups coming in with RRQ. And I think everybody's batting their eyes, just saying, nah, they're going to get knocked out. No, they will not. This is going to be the match everybody is waiting for. Burmese ghouls have proven themselves, and RRQ is still looking on to form.
Yeah, looking at it, we did kind of expect a 50-50 between BG and Bren.
But at least a 50-50.
It's a 50-50.
Yeah.
But then again, we didn't really expect one of them to just win it 2-0. We could have expected a 2-1, if ever, for both teams. But that happened, and right now I agree with Gideon. RRQ is going to be their next challenge. Now, looking at the bottom side, or the lower bracket here, Bren and Omega, that was a very, well, yesterday was a heartbreaking day for Filipinos.
Yeah.
They lost one life already, but do not fret for the Filipino fans, because you still have a life in the lower bracket.
Oh, yeah. Before we dig deep into this next matchup, again, a best between Omega and Alter Ego, I gotta ask, there were a couple of other teams to talk about in the lower bracket, still fighting for their life here in playoffs at M2. And I think I want to ask, just for the sake of the hometown sentiments, right? Todak just showed us something else yesterday. 4 Mays was amazing. Again, we said how this was nothing you saw from the old MPL MYSG. Contra, what are their chances here today?
The chances are looking pretty much on the 50-50 as well, because facing Franie Esports, I'm hoping to see something else, because that Hayabusa is going to be very predictable coming from the side of 4 Mays.
And right here, right now, ladies and gentlemen, on the main stage, that is the turret holding the trophy for M2. And on screen, this young lady responsible for keeping things in check. That's our head marshal, Cristina Nang, officiating this matchup. Again, another eliminations round. We're saying goodbye to one of these teams at the end of the best of 3. And on stage, the coach of Omega Esports, that is Coach Dela, aka Vitug, and Nasi Utuk from Alter Ego. Our representative from Indonesia. 1 of 2, by the way. 1 of 2. Indonesia's chances right now, it looks like, again, from you remember when I said it's a side Indonesian Philippines, and yesterday RRQ just told y'all so. Stay there.
It's going to be...
well, both teams need to knock the other out, right?
Absolutely.
It's a lot of pride, and there's a lot on the line. On screen, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be introducing the first 5. From both, this is Omega Esports, Kenji, Heath, Hachizi, Yelly Hayes, Curtizi, Butters. This is the old reliable for the green and blue here. And
them having a meeting beside my room
really
yesterday, but they told me that I shouldn't really just say it right now. I should just say it after.
Okay.
But then again, they made these substantial changes that will make them a bit more attentive and give a little more attention to detail when it comes to the games.
Okay, all right. I'm pretty sure Alter Ego will be looking out for that, as they always do for most things, as for all things, actually. Performing this well, it's Yam, Leo Murphy, Udil, Chelly Boy, and Pai. So Cassius going to be sitting this one out. He made his debut yesterday. Contra, how do you feel about this lineup? This was the same that they played in the group stage.
Well, of course, when we're looking towards the group stage, there were games that they did drop, even playing with the likes of Dela. So I'm pretty sure that having his own break, they have been able to plot even more of all these sort of strats to be going up against whoever who falls down from the upper brackets. And know for a fact that these two teams are kind of like the prince of their respective countries to be, taking over one day. And I'm looking at which one will be the ones that step closer towards the throne.
I like it. I like it. The prince, you mean the heir apparent, right?
Heir
like
to throne.
The next stop in line. So, ladies and gentlemen, 2 minutes on the clock here before we start drafting once more Alter Ego versus Omega Esports. Gideon, man, Do you think this is going to change the dynamic of Alter Ego? Because yesterday it seemed like Cassius was really acting to help Yam out.
Absolutely, and I think, that's something to keep in mind because Yam has been integrated into this team really, really well, and I think his performance has just been skyrocketing ever since. And honestly, I don't know, he feels like a ton of diamonds, like specifically 899 diamonds here.
Oh, and that's
899.
all you need to be able to get the exclusive skin for M2. That's the Shadow Omen skin for Clint. Your boy Clint still hasn't made a showing here, but that doesn't mean there's no chance, all right? By the way, this is an in-game event happening. Just check it out. Click that banner, and you can complete tasks and predict the champion to win M2 coins. Exchange these coins for M2 exclusive rewards, which include the special avatar border. That's the exclusive skin again. That's Clint's Shadow Omen skin, the battle emote, and that sacred statue. Get all of these for 899 diamonds once more, only up until the 20th of January. But to be real though, it felt like more than 899.
Honestly, yeah, he honestly shines so bright, especially when Cassius is working on his side of the map. And I think that's kind of the question here of what kind of a draft is going to kind of enable Yam to do those things. As you can see, he can play lane really, really well, but he really does shine once his team kind of enables him to say, hey, we need you to do this, we need you to get to the backline, we need you to join the fight.
Yeah, you need to listen a lot, right? And I'm guessing that's what Cassius was good at. Because whenever we would do interviews back from the MPLI and Alter Ego 1, it was always Cassius speaking up. And he's a very intelligent man, and I'm pretty sure he was one of the keys to unlocking Yam. But right now, Butters, we talked about Alter Ego. I'm going to ask you about Omega here. And there's a meme going on online in the MLBB community, and it specifically talks about what hero should the Filipino teams ban, and who is that?
I haven't seen the meme. I'm sorry about.
It's you, Sean. You really slept like a rock, ladies and gentlemen.
I mean, for Burmese goons.
Well, I think for both.
I think for everybody
I
at
think
this
for
point in
everybody,
time.
just ban it out. But yeah, Omega Esports, they are a team who just really wants to be aggressive into the early game. But the thing is, when you find a way to stop them in their tracks from making that snowball, they lose communication. They don't even talk. They don't even talk much, even when they're winning. But what happens when you just lose communication?
That's all
when
the
you're
more,
losing?
all the more when you
All
need
the
it.
more worse.
All the more when you need it. Ladies and gentlemen, Alter Ego Esports here on the play. Already banned out the Jawhead and the Benedetta. Nothing too crazy here. Nothing from out of left field just yet. Omega Esports getting rid of the Esmeralda. Contra still out there again. The Yuzhong still out there. Is the Yusun Shin. What else are we looking at?
I'm definitely looking at the Yishun Shin here. That is a hot contested pick that you mentioned earlier on. And we've seen a lot of all these sort of stuff that does get out of the way. Like, if we really want to look at Loyi, usually you go in towards phase 2, right? So phase number 1, you still have that sort of hot picks that have been popping out on the radar, and that's in the form of, a couple of all these sort of marksmen. I'm not too sure whether they should take out the 1-1. Sometimes you do see a phase 1-1 ban, but not exactly the highest of priority when it comes down to this list.
At this point, I think Alter Ego might want to consider just banning out the Natalia at this point of time. And honestly, the way that they starting with the Benedetta and as well as the Benedetta as well as the Jawhead, they get rid of the Yishin Shin, it kind of tells me that they have like something in mind. They kind of want to play a composition that doesn't rely around those strong picks. And I'm assuming Sylvana is going to be picked up by Omega here because Alter Ego, they're just running out of first pick options.
They want Chelly Boy to be aggressive. Alter Ego, they are gonna go for probably a Jawhead, probably a Cho. They need those heroes that can just hide on the brush and just have that certain advantage when it comes to the initiation. So they ban out the Eason Shed. For Omega Esports, I think Natalia is a good ban, actually.
It'll be a really good ban.
It's going to be Natalia.
They're not running the risk. Again, first pick goes to Alter Ego Esports here. And if you don't respect these kinds of heroes, then you're going to pay the price. Now, first pick for Alter Ego, definitely her Jow Butters. Maybe a tank that allows Chelly Boy to just snowball, make him space, and just catch free kills. They should also consider maybe Yam, but maybe Sylvana first.
Yeah.
Could go for Yam from the side lane, or even, Leo Murphy. Could burst folks down.
Yeah, we see the Sylvana on how other teams use it. They stay in the brush. Then when someone tries to go for a face check, there's a stun, there's Imperial Justice, and most of the time it gets the job done.
So good. She's
It's so good. And without the Yisun Shin, you don't have a way to see that.
Nothing.
Yeah, and of course that makes it a little bit more difficult as well. With that, we are having a little bit of the attention towards this Selena pick in the early phase, alongside with the Yuzong, which is looking rather interesting because Omega Esports, they've already secured everything they need for the sort of way to just spot them out. So,
Yeah.
Abyssal Arrows coming in, but they need to find a little bit of a way to be enabling some of all these cores. So I wonder what will they pick up next for the side of Omega.
Here's where it gets a little scary because even for like at least for Omega, they're kind of waiting on Alter Ego to kind of make that pick, right? And at this point, Matilda is on the table. I feel like it is almost a free pick in most of these situations, other than the fact that Alter Ego is considering that the team fight capabilities of Yuzong is there and Lapu Lapu is on the table. So do you lock in that core or do you just take in that extra utility from Matilda? And it looks like they opt to go for the Roger instead.
In the group stages, Lapu Lapu seems really good. He's probably the best side or XP laner in the group stages. Now, there is this Yuzong that just is rising. And a lot of the Yuzong players right now are stepping up. They're carrying the team. And there are a lot of great Yuzong games that are happening right now in the playoffs. So, it's a 50-50 for me. Lapu, Yuzong.
Yeah,
It's
It's
a trade, yeah.
Okay, well, stats are definitely getting skewed. Predictions are getting disrupted. And right now we're waiting for one more pick from Omega Esports here to round out the first phase. And that's going to be Hajizi out of the jungle picking up his signature Ling. So for seeing it, it's going to be Chelly Boy on the Roger versus Hajizi on the Ling. Hey, it's all about choking out the purple for Omega Esports. So they better look out for that. They're covering their bases, getting rid of these mid heroes. That's Luo Yi first taken out. Alter Ego, what can they choke out? Heath still has no heroes here. No choices for him.
We're looking towards this will be fan phase number 2. There's so much high priority target on towards what will come next for the side of Omega Esports by banning out even more of those sort of the jungler or marksman. Ling is already pretty good enough, right? Having the lane pushes being very much secured. So for this sort of the so much focus on towards mages, and that's where you see Loi being banned out. But the Tigro, though, is a very interesting ban.
There you go. That's a target on Heath.
Since a lot of dives are going to happen for Alter Ego, Tigreal is the best ban. For Omega Esports, they still have a lot of heroes on Heath. They can go for I wouldn't really suggest a Hilda, just because Lapu, Sylvana, and Roger don't really care about her. I guess a Cho would be great. Seeing a Cho on Heath would be 50-50, but I think with the mechanics and the fundamentals that he has, I think he has enough to pull it off.
And I think, Omega had to make a decision here whether or not to kind of like punish this mid laner, punish the mid laner who has wave clear. They wanted to, thinking about Farsa or making sure that the side lane is going to be okay with the Lunox here. And I think that's a very good choice. Alter Ego, as you mentioned, Butters, Trill is a really good pick for Omega's side. And I think as long as Alter Ego start focusing down on those utility types of flexible supports, then they can actually pick up some wave clear for themselves, because that's what they're lacking right now. They won't have mid priority here, and I think both teams kind of understand that.
Yep, and instead of mid priority, I think what Omega Esports has just accepted that they're going to do is try to go into the jungle. They want to protect their jungle and get into the opponents.
If you would look at Omega Esports banning pattern here, you just ban out meta heroes. Then for the second phase, you pick one person to ban his heroes out. They go for Odil, they go for the Luyi, they go for the Lunox. Probably Odil's how do I say this, most successful heroes in the tournament.
Yeah.
It does a lot of damage. It can punish the usual.
Some would say signature, like in the long run. Yeah. So that's what Omega Esports is doing. Very, very clear cut. Now they have one pick before throwing it back over to Alter Ego to complete it. Now again, they are missing a hero for Heath, and it looks like they are also missing one for Kenji or Curtizi. Again, if this turns into a marksman side lane, then that's going to be on Curtizi while Kenji picks up the Yuzhong. I'm guessing they they try to get Heath now. Give Heath a hero now so that you have that flex pick later, because utility tanks are super important, and there it is. We've been saying it all, well, for the past minute or so. That's the show. Very important pickup here.
I definitely think that this is possibly the only best tank left available for that moment. And with so many of all these mages being banned away, you know, I'm not entirely sure if there's any more great ones to be picked up by Alter Ego Esports here. But yesterday we did see an Eudora that was being introduced in towards the playoffs.
RRQ,
in
yeah.
the form of RRQ Hoshi, and of course, Alter Ego might just actually pick that one from the playbook that was actually causing a lot of disruption towards Omega Esports side.
I think regardless here, if they get the Eudora, it might not be as efficient. Farsa is right up on the table. Harith is also a pretty good shout. Yep. And again, they finally actually decide to go for the Matilda as well as the Harith. So they skewed their composition to say, hey, we want to have a really strong level 4, knowing that your composition wants to play for early. At least we have a Matilda to defend ourselves, harass you towards the mid lane. So at least if you try and invade, you're going to be at about, what, 60 to 50% of your HP.
Alter Ego's not gonna go for that ultimate dependent lineup. They can fight as long as the Roger is up. Matilda and Sylvana is a really great help, just containing or controlling people just for Roger to get down. Because Roger is one of those heroes that really just needs the orange buff to go on. He deals a lot of damage with that certain power spike that he has. But for a minute, it's going to be the Chango.
I think this was lacking. They needed wave clear. And now I'm wondering, just hindsight, should this have been a Farsa? Chango or a Farsa? Chango or a Farsa? I think they're just doubling down on range. Massive reach.
I would agree with the range, but I also think that it's just like making sure that the side laners are going to be A-okay, because that's where Omega is looking to punish. Like if it's not the mid lane and we can't invade you, then your side lanes are going to be the next big target.
Yeah, so it's a complete concession to mid. Like, you can have mid, we'll take the jungle, we'll take the side lanes. Ladies and gentlemen, the draft has been locked in. Alter Ego Esports versus Omega Esports. We already talked about how these teams are looking to engage, what kind of strategies these two drafts are going in for. Real quick, Alter Ego, Omega, what's your prediction? Contra.
Well, looking at this sort of draft, I'm liking what I'm seeing from the side of Alter Ego Esports at the moment. But hey, Omega Esports, we saw what they did towards RRQ Hoshi in game number 1. I'm expecting Omega to just push them to the brink of perhaps almost to this.
All right, we'll leave it to you guys. Contra, Gideon Q, Butters, all yours. Omega Esports versus Alter Ego, game number 1.
Let's get this show on the road. Finally, first game up today. Let's bring it as Alter Ego going to be going up against Omega Esports. And again, we should be expecting nothing too soon, especially since Omega, they do have the early game composition, but level 2s are way more useful in comparison to level 1s.
You would expect people to just go for the invade with the Roger, Sylvana, and the Matilda, but Alter Ego Esports, they're not going to push their luck. They're not going to put themselves in the 50-50.
Yeah, speaking of 50-50s here, you know, like heading in towards the late game, that's where team fights are especially crucial. And we've talked about Omega, they are a very team fight-oriented team. And there goes a little bit of the movements coming across, and Kenji has already spotted out the danger. And perhaps there will be a little bit of a contest coming in the way soon. Let's talk about this matchup here down below. This is the Yuzong as well as Lapu Lapu, because they're going to be contributing pretty huge in towards mid-game.
Yeah, and Kenji there might have pulled the trigger on his flicker a bit too early. He didn't know that Liam Murphy didn't get the stun, so he just went for it, and the spear is there just to harass. And look at the damage for Heat here. That hurts a lot.
Yeah, I mean, Matilda, again, she's really great in the early game just to harass their opponents. She does struggle to finish them off, and that's why you see some teams actually taking the flame shot here and there, or even the Farsa to just make sure, like, hey, you gotta go.
Yeah, and speaking of which, now we're going to be moving our eyes on towards Odile, where, you know, early game pressure is the name of the game, coming in from Matilda, but she's being pushed towards the turret, being forced to retreat, and now we're going to be having the turtle on towards the other corners of the river, where most of the members of Omega are fixating themselves towards the top side, trying to get a catch on towards this tower.
Yeah, honestly, I would think they would want to be a little bit more aggressive here, especially down towards bottom side, but it looks like, you know, Harith is going to be a little bit of an issue, since he is going to the EXP lane. He wants to rush that level 4 as quickly as possible.
Yeah, but the only difference right now for Leo Murphy is Heath is a calm player. He doesn't get tilted as much. So all those TPs are probably not going to get into his head. Some of the tanks right here that Leo Murphy taunts, they actually react. But for Heath, I don't think that's going to be the case anytime soon.
Yeah, and speaking of which, you know, late game is going to be very interesting where you got picks like the Ling, and on the other side, you got the Harith, the Rogers. Which one do you think, like, you know, will be much stronger heading towards the late phase? Because I'm pretty concerned if Yelly Hayes gets to the late game.
Yeah, you know, I definitely agree with your sentiment here, but yeah, speaking of Yelly Hayes, he's forced to push back in towards lane. And coming back to the question here, I think at the end of the day, I would say it's almost around even here, but I will say that Alter Ego does have the better late game composition because there's a lot more relevant ultimates and also just relevant heroes in those situations. Now, Cortese is going to get a little bit of damage here, but Pai, he wants to zone him out to ensure that the rest of the team can actually contest for that purple buff. Luckily, Cortese still having his retribution, but that just means that that the turtle is going to have zero pressure coming in from Omega.
But you know what, Gideon? I think Alter Ego has a better late game lineup just because of the Harith.
Yeah.
In terms of scaling, the Harith can just pop off anytime soon. You're just getting those certain items on his side. I mean, I get it. Kenji has late game potential as well, but there's a fight happening right here.
Yep, and they're going in pretty hard, but they're backing away as soon as possible. Purple buff again contested, but that's going to be a big ultimate coming in from Cartesi. They can't really do too much to contest, and Heath, he could try to make the play, but again, all 4 members are here for the side of Alter Ego, and the 5th one just joining from lane. Hajizi is going to get chunked so low, but look at the top side, Kenji, a free push.
Well, I really felt like Alter Ego here is putting way too much of that microaggression, and they are ripping a lot of rewards out of it. Like, as you can see, although the goal lead is going to be relatively small at the moment, they've already got the turtle, they've already taken all these buffs. We're checking out some of these items. Anything interesting to note coming in from early phase?
Not so much. Pai is almost close to his Bloodlust axe. And as you can see, Heath here catching out Leo Murphy, and Yam trying to go for the help, and Heath might have bitten more than he can chew there. Okay, in terms of items, they're just getting their core items first, but here, they really just want to start the fight. Calamity Reaper on that Harith. Haji only has the Raptor Machete, and for he has the glowing wand, if I'm not mistaken. I just can't see it from here.
Yeah, he's almost getting it. Oh, wait, no, because he's looking to try to jump on top of Leo Murphy, but he's able to get pulled back with the help of Udil. They're going to disengage from the fight, but he's going to get chucked down. Absolutely destroyed and disrespecting his space, especially without Flicker. But it's not over yet. Kenji is going to be dropping down that meteor shower, and even though he used the way of the dragon, he might have bit off a little more than he could chew. Yam is going to be able to enable himself to pick him off, and Kenji the next to fall, but it is going to say hello, Jelly Boy here. Say hello to this. Can he get one more? The killing spree is going to be enough. No, it is not. Orange buff a little too good. Yelly Hayes goes down, and it's going to be a 3-for-1 trade in favor of Alter Ego.
And I guess this just explains what the Yisun Shin ban is. If there was a Yisun Shin in this game, this wouldn't have been possible for Alter Ego to just dive in, catch them off guard. Omega Esports here, they need to find a way to get Hayes to drop those traps.
I absolutely agree with that, and you just look how well coordinated of an attack Alter Ego Esports responded with. Although they were in really awkward positions with Boy coming in and out of that sort of fight, but he has been able to get those kills in, and he's 2 kills up alongside with Yam. This is where things start to get a lot more dangerous for Omega, and they have to pull those moves because we talked about the early game. This is where they are supposed to shine.
I don't know if y'all are realizing, but Yam's actually kind of getting a little big here. He's got 4K worth of gold, a Calamity Reaper, and a Holy Crystal 6 minutes into the game, but the fight is already going to continue. Cosmic Black's not going to land, but Yam, he's just going to say, hello, you started the fight at the worst time possible, and Cartesi looking to turn this around with the help of the Meteor Shower. He comes on through. Dragon Tail actually connected, but his passive is going to keep it alive, but he knows better. He can't go too far.
Alter Ego is so snappy with their reactions. It's like one thing or one time you see that they're on the lane, you engage a fight 5 seconds after they're there on the middle lane fighting with their teammate as well. So for Omega Esports, need to find the players from Alter Ego more. They need to be aware where they are at certain points in time to create this advantage, because Omega Esports, they have a lot of pick-off potential. They have the Serena on their side, they have the Cho on their side.
Talking about pick-up potential, the way the Dragon's already be coming through right after, but Yam, he needs to decide on which side of the map he needs to fight on, as they got split into two. They find the first initial catch, but then there is the return coming in from Cartesi with the help of Yeli Hayes.
Very interesting move from both sides. You can see Yam was really moving in between, splitting the team apart, but they have managed to get that catch right over on towards those small little bushes, and finally, at least, Omega Esports can shut down Leo Murphy in the process, but it still takes a little bit more for them to get to where they need to be, as we can definitely see a little bit of a deficit in terms of goal at the moment. But hey, one good team fight could possibly change everything for Omega.
Kenji right now has the Ice Queen 1 with the glowing 1. This is an important power spike for fights, or if ever they want, they could contest this turtle take. But for them, it's not going to be the best idea as they catch out Spy, and that is what I'm saying. Find the right target and punish him. Because Alter Ego Esports, if they cannot rotate to that certain area, you are going to have a better time!
Oh, yeah, he actually by any of the skill shots, and Cartesi is able to get a little bit more, but the return kill is Jelly Boy. He's able to dodge the perfect abilities at the right time. Butters, you're totally right there about the target priority, but I think that's not all. Hajizi is going to try and force the fight onto Jelly Boy, who has to run away. Leo Murphy, he's got nothing else. He drops down the spiral. Jelly Boy needs to take out Yeli Hayes, but the way the dragon came off of cooldown at the right time, and Yam, he can't go down. He wants to look for a return kill, and the chrono dash, it doesn't get him just yet. Finally, Omega find the trade they were looking for, 2 for 1.
I just want to say that Alter Ego Esports is giving Yam more freedom to choose the heroes that he wants. He's been forced to use the Yu Zhong. He's been forced to use the side laners that can just tank and deal significant damage. But right now, a Harith with a Calamity Reaper, a Holy Crystal, he is proving the naysayers wrong.
That's right, and with that, we definitely check out some of all these sort of builds. Athena Shield's being bought over from South Eve. He's going to get more and more tankier, as, of course, Leo Murphy will be helping him in the process for the side of Alter Ego, of course. But just looking at how they control the entirety of all these mid-game fights, it's been looking relatively well for Esports. They really have to give high priority on all these big objectives, and the next one's coming right in with the Lord heading up towards the top side.
I totally agree. And I think, Omega at this point in time at the 26k mark, where a lot of their mid-game heroes have gotten the utility items, especially like the Ice Queen wand, it helps them look for that return kill. Wave the Dragon onto the Sylvana for now, but Leo Murphy can easily jump out with the Imperial Justice. But now they are running backwards, and Kenji, he's just cutting them down with the Meteor Shower. I can't see whether he's going to kill Pi or not. Yes, he's so low on health. He's so trapped. He is done for, but down by the bottom side. Pi is going to trade for heat, and it's not looking too good until Cartesi comes in. He's coming in with a Black Dragon form as he wants to jump out towards Jelly Boy. He gets him, but it's not enough. No CC to lock him down, and he doesn't want to jump forward any further.
Yeah, and looking at it, Alter Ego Esports, yes, they have the lead, but there is one thing that they cannot get. They cannot get the turrets here onto the side of Omega Esports. Yes, you had a 4-kill lead into the early game, but if you cannot convert it into objectives just because Kenji is just clearing out the waves, then that is going to be a break problem of your side.
And speaking of which, we're going to be having a big fight here. Kenji gets picked up, and he goes unstoppable, and nobody has been able to stop this Harith in the process.
It's tough. It's tough because Yam he's 5-0, okay? He's 5-0, and that means that the rest of AE want to actually push on forward to try and steal the bus. Leo Murphy getting easy. This is looking great. Can they get one more layers? 2 of them.
It will hit a lot of members here for the side of Alter Ego, but it won't take them down.
Yeah, not just yet, not just yet. It's a slow roll, you know? You gotta wait for the conditions to be right.
Yeah, I felt like Omega Esports is taking too many of these fights where not exactly every single one of the fights are actually necessary. They were pushing in towards mid without much of the area control, and easily Alter Ego just snapped right back at them. And you just see Yam has free reign. He just dives straight on top and goes unpunished. And here comes the Lord attempt coming from Alter Ego.
This is going to be one of the bigger fights here as he flickers forward to try and stop them as much damage as possible as he blocks half of the meteor shower from Kenji. Oh my goodness, Alter Ego were willing to throw their bodies in front of the damage to secure this Lord.
But this is okay for Omega Esports. They still can go for the steal. They have Haji, they have Kenji. The question is, will they go for it? The answer is no. Alter Ego Esports, just take that Luminous Lord.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're way too out of reach, understanding the fact that, hey, it's 3 members versus 5, and this time it's already 30 minutes into the game, which is relatively concerning with the Luminous Lord coming at them eventually. So if they were to lose even more members, I'm not even sure, like, with Yellow's pace as well as Cortese comes back up, can they manage a good defense?
I think, sorry about this, but yeah, I do think with Kenji it is possible, but they just have to sacrifice their own life totals to protect the wave, because right now, Omega, they want to cut the waves using their mobility with Hajizi.
Yeah, and Omega Esports, they aren't given the chance to go for their initiates, because if Serena hits someone with the arrow or Heath gets a good way of the dragon, that's going to be great for them. But if they are forced to engage, they're just forced to react, and that's not going to be good on their side.
Alter Ego wants to force the situation here. Lord has already been brought down low, but Hajizi forced him to use his ultimate to get out of the way. Now, for the full engagement here, Hajizi tries to pull something off, but Heath is able to get the way of the dragon onto Pi, but that's not going to be enough. That's not the target that you want, as they were able to turn this around, barely using most of their ultimates at that point in time. Meteor Shower as well onto Jelly Boy. This could be a huge pick. They can turn this around. Omega looking for the opportunity, but unfortunately, all they get is a good defense. Jelly Boy survives and ends the game. GG, well played.
Just look at Alter Ego, how they managed to pull every single move on top of Omega Esports. As much as they tried to go in for those fakes, nothing is actually going in favor of the Philippine side in this very first match, and solely Alter Ego pushed through and punched in their first point in this best of 3.
It's like Yam just woke up one day, became a monster, and this is really just Yam stepping up to the plate.
We need the perspective from the outside. Leo, what's the perspective here? You watched the entire game. What happened?
It's a great time to be an Alter Ego fan. And as y'all already said, I think that day was yesterday. Yam woke up yesterday and said, the playoffs is going to see a brand new me. Group stage, y'all seen nothing yet. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the caster's desk. Alter Ego currently scoring 1 ahead of Omega, and that's going to be match point. They are threatening the sweep. Could be a clean 2-0 here, and we're going to be saying goodbye to one of the 2 Filipino teams left. Once more, it was off of just Yam just doing great things on that Harith, and I expected actually during the draft for it to be on Pi. We've seen Pi with Harith before coming out of the gold lane, but this time I think they really are just making the moves and the changes to help Yam do good Yam things. It's not just about lemon. Yam do good Yam things, and even with Udil now, Cassius no longer playing in the first 5, it seems to work.
And I'm really loving how the perception has absolutely changed for this player when, you know, at first everyone was doubting him, like, oh, this Yuzong pick's not really good for him. And he finally found his